Nathan, what was your strategy with this context in England, which is economically quite difficult?
I think it's really important to distinguish between macroeconomic trends and then, microeconomic realities. So as we know, the art market does not necessarily follow the broader headlines that we read in the newspapers about inflation or wages or other situations. As a matter of fact, you're mentioning, current economic situations. The strength of the dollar means that I'm bumping into so many American friends, starting from last Thursday in London. And, they said, Nathan, we're here for 10 days instead of a week because the dollar is so strong. We want to take advantage of it. And, we'd already set aside our budget for 1 week, but now it stretches to 10 days. So we're having the best time, and we're loving being in London.
But is they here because they are your friend? No, I'm joking.
No, I mean, they're people we know from the art world, and it's great to see so many Americans. In terms of your question on strategy, which I think is always the best thing to focus on. Our strategy for Frieze Masters has always been working with the best galleries and working with them on bringing exceptional material. So, for example, NAMAD has, an extraordinary Mijo solo. I was actually just walking past their booth on my way to come and see you now. We've had a bit of a Bruegel face-off because De Jonker announced that they were bringing beautiful Tondi of Bruegel. And so now Johnny van Haften has 2 Bruegels with imperial provenance, one of which was on display at the Alte Pinakothek for the last 200 years. And now
what Pinakothek?
The Alte Pinakothek in
Munich.
Yeah, I assume the only Alte Pinakothek I know of is the one in Munich, but my colleagues Charlotte and Belinda can double check that with a gallery. And now Richard Green is also bringing 3 Bruegels. And so I think that's our strategy. It's making sure that there is the very, very best. And a gallery, for example, like Wildenstein, who are joining us for the first time, and I just walked past their stand. And we all, everyone always speaks about the legendary Wildenstein closet, and I can assure you, having walked on their stand, the Wildenstein closet is legendary.
Like what?
Sorry?
Like what?
Just an incredible Fragonard. It's just beautiful.
So yeah, you are not focusing on the British market. That's what you want to say. And there's a gap between the economy and the economy of the art market.
And I think as and you'll probably know even better than me, being an expert in this, in this field, specifically the relationship between the wider economy and the art market in general, that the art market does tend to be slightly detached from the broader economy.
Or slightly delayed, not detached, but delayed.
And but speaking of the British market, Scarsted have a huge, incredible bacon on their stand, as do Marlborough. So we're also seeing very impressive British works. David Zwirner have a beautiful early Hockney from 1960.
Wow!
Time at the RCA.
And so. What's going on at Frieze? They are on another planet or what?
I think Frieze Masters, we are lucky. It is a special fair. It's the only one of its kind, and galleries really respond to that, as they did at Frieze Masters in Seoul, which was incredibly successful, and really just a joy to be in Korea and to experience the warmth of the welcome, the hospitality, and the eagerness on the part of collectors who really respected the respect that Western galleries brought by bringing their strongest material, and they appreciated that and reciprocated by acquiring that. that material. And in terms of, you know, new things for this year, we also, perhaps you've heard of the Spotlight section, which this year is curated by Camille Morino and her group at Aware. They've done an incredible job, Judith. Please spend time in Spotlight. It's 26 presentations and they are outstanding.
And what about the competition with Paris, and Paris becoming a bit Swiss now with Paris Plus? And it's only 1 week later, which is crazy.
It is. And at the same time, don't you think that this London and Paris back to back, you know, these two incredible European capital cities linked by the Eurostar, which makes it so easy, to me, it makes it the most compelling moment of the Art World calendar in the year.
First, it's not so easy because the passport control takes hours now.
Have you gone through the E-Gate?
E-Gate? What is E-Gate?
They have, I don't know how recent, I was on the Eurostar 2 weeks ago, and they now have the electronic passport control.
Yeah, but there was an extremely long line. It's a nightmare, and it was never like that before. But speaking about business, if I go to London, shall I go to Paris? But for example, I know that Aquavela is bringing a bacon too in Paris for Paris.
And they brought and they brought an extraordinary bacon and a Picasso and a de Kooning, which they sold, and Matisse to.
No, but to Paris Plus, they are bringing a bacon.
That's fantastic. No, I was saying what they brought to Seoul, which was incredible. And they brought an amazing de Kooning that was that Eleanor told me had sold. But yeah, they had a really stunning stand at Frieze Masters in Seoul. We were very pleased with that.
So you think there's room for 2 fairs at what 1 week of distance?
There always has been.
No, it was not 1 week, it was 2 weeks. So and there was not Brexit. What was the consequence of Brexit on your fair?
So the thing is, as I'm sure you will have seen, COVID happened. And COVID was so much bigger than Brexit that everyone had to cope with COVID. And now that they've coped with COVID, they've dealt with Brexit also, because the challenges that we all overcame with COVID were of such a larger magnitude that suddenly the Brexit issues also, you know, if you think, you know, quote, you know, for a gallery coming from the United States, the UK is, you know, no different than Switzerland.
Okay.
But I think traditionally, and I think Carlotta and my colleagues at Frieze can correct me if I'm wrong, because this was before I joined Frieze, but I believe originally, I remember when I came to Frieze as a visitor, that Frieze and FIAC were back to back. And then there was a period when, due to religious holidays, they were not. They were a week apart, and now we're back to back again.
We'll see for the future, but no, but the difference is that Frieze Masters was invented. It changed everything, I think. Bon, merci beaucoup.
Thank you. When